We have often shared about how the effects of chronic illness ripple through an entire family. What we haven't shared as much about is how you balance all of those ripples can greatly differentiate between the shape and makeup of your individual family. Welcome to Wondercast, a community collaborative podcast supporting families navigating the complexities of chronic illness. Wondercast is supported by the generous sponsorship of Texas Oncology. Texas Oncology, more breakthroughs, more victories, experts in cancer care. Today, we are joined by previous colleague, cancer survivor, and personal friend, Rachel Duff, as she shares about her unique medical journey and supporting her beautiful, blended family. Meet Rachel.
Hi there. I am Rachel Duff. I am a mama of 3. 2 of them are my step kiddos, and I have 1 kiddo of my own. He is 2.5, all of 2.5, the good and the spicy. My 10-year-old stepdaughter just moved in with us. We have lots of changes in our house, as always. So I now am a pediatric occupational therapist. Previously, I was a child life specialist in the emergency room. I did that for about 6 years. And then I found myself wanting a bit more like follow-up with my kiddos, especially coming from the emergency room. I felt like I worked in these really intense moments with these kids and then didn't get to know what happened in the rest of their life. And I was really missing that. And I also wanted a bit more stability for my life. My life was changing at the time, and I was going through a divorce and needed some more reliability on myself. So I went back to school for OT, and I am loving every second of it. I still get to do almost all of the aspects that I did with child life, but just in a little bit different way. I still get to play with kids all day long, which is the best thing to ever do for your career. And I am enjoying it. I'm currently now working in the school system, so it's very different than what I did before, but it works for my lifestyle now. So I'm really happy with that.
I would love for you to take a minute, if you're comfortable, and share a little bit about your illness journey.
Absolutely. I've always been pretty vocal about my healthcare journey. I think that when we talk about it, it just makes it tangible for people. And especially when you say the big C word, when you say cancer, everybody gets really nervous and tends to not know what to say or say the wrong things, or they think they say the wrong things. So I'm really happy to be able to talk about it again. So I was diagnosed with stage 3 cervical cancer in September of 2020. 2020, the year of C's, COVID and cancer. Yeah, it was a long journey of getting diagnosed. It took about 6 months for me to get diagnosed, which I think made my symptoms progress. But I had a high-grade PAP the week before COVID hit. So it came middle of March, and then everything shut down a week later. So it took about 6 months to get diagnosed. And then as soon as I did get diagnosed, everything kind of happened rapid fire. I was told pretty immediately that I was going to have a hysterectomy, that I was going to go through chemo and radiation. I pretty much had a 50% chance of living. So it was a big change really quickly. I had known that something was wrong for about 8 months prior to the diagnosis. So it was good to get some answers, but I was definitely nervous and ready to get rid of this thing. So really long story short, we ended up doing a rapid IVF cycle because I wanted to have children. We found out about my cancer after about a year of trying to get pregnant. So they did a rapid IVF cycle. I just so happened to have been at the right time in my cycle to join an already existing IVF group. If you've done IVF before, they do it in these like big chunks and get everybody on the same cycle and then go through the process together and then start it like again a month later. So I got diagnosed on September 1st. I started IVF meds on September 3rd. I had egg retrieval on September 16th, and I started chemo on September 21st.
Bless America. That is a whirlwind.
It was a whirlwind. Luckily, had good luck on that first cycle of IVF. I didn't have to do another one, which is a good thing because I wouldn't have been able to. We ended up freezing 3 embryos, and they were just ready for us whenever we were ready to start that journey. So after I started chemo, I did about a month of chemo, and then I did 25 external radiation sessions and 3 internal radiation sessions, which was brutal. Radiation was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Everyone thinks about cancer and thinks about chemo. That's the first thing. I didn't have a big chemo journey. I had some very low chemo because my cancer was mainly treated through radiation. Radiation knocked me off my feet. It was a doozy, but it did its job. It got rid of my cancer. It killed everything in its path, which has led me to kind of where I am now. I've had all kinds of radiation complications, and I'm still managing all of that now, which has been a long, hard process. So I had my hysterectomy the day before Thanksgiving in 2020. It was supposed to just be a typical hysterectomy where they go in vaginally and remove it, but I love to attract complications. So complication number, God only knows what, let's just call it number 3. Complication number 3 was that my uterus kind of fell apart as they were trying to pull it out. So they ended up having to open me like a C-section scar to remove my uterus. So when they tried to do that, part of it had the end of my cervix had adhered to my colon. They ended up having to leave a small portion of my cervix, which was really scary because I had cervical cancer. But they ended up having to leave that. And when they closed me up, I ended up getting an infection. And they believe it was from the fact that I had a necrotic uterus. And so that got infected. And that infection left me in the hospital for about 40 days and caused an extensive small bowel obstruction to where they ended up removing almost 2 feet of my intestines and giving me a stoma and an ileostomy. And I was supposed to have that temporarily while they healed my intestines, and then I was going to get that reversed about 6 months later. Long story short, when they went to reverse it, part of my sigmoid colon had closed down almost completely. It was only open about 3 millimeters, and so nothing could pass through it. So they ended up converting my ileostomy to a permanent colostomy because a colostomy is a bit more sustainable than an ileostomy is, just with the management of your eating and your hydration. I ended up with a terminal colostomy, or so I thought.
That's where this just, to me, takes so many amazing turns.
Yes. So I had a colostomy for about 3.5 years. I was told it was permanent. I lived my life like it was permanent. I ended up getting a surrogate for my kiddo. My baby was born in 2022, had my colostomy the whole time, went through infancy with it, had to change my lifestyle a good bit, had to change my job because I didn't have the same amount of energy as I used to. I was working in a pediatric outpatient facility, and some of those kids had really high needs, and you are up and down off the ground, chasing them around, doing all kinds of things with them. And that was really difficult when you have a bag. I had lots of complications with my bag, both with it adhering to my skin and with managing my nutrition with it. It was high output. So I was always dehydrated and running to the bathroom about every 45 minutes.
So hard.
Yeah, it was really tough. So I was always kind of in the back of my head, kind of woe is me, like kick me while I'm down. I had to do all of this other stuff, and now I have this permanent complication issue that I still have to live with that I never expected. When people tell you that you have cervical cancer, the last thing they think is you're going to have a colostomy. And when you have a colostomy, everyone thinks you had something related to your colon before. And I never had any GI issues before. So it was just a big life change, and it was hard. And my family is very spread out across the United States. So I traveled a lot, which was really tough when you have a bag. I was always kind of hoping that one day they would be able to remove it, whether that was with a transplant or science progressed in a certain way. Well, about a year ago, I met somebody through a support group that had met a local doctor here in San Antonio that does progressive, mildly invasive colostomy reversals. I've had 3 surgeries in the last 6 months, and I now have no colostomy. So big things have happened.
Giant things. And with that has come some hard work and some hospitalizations and your body
hmm
figuring out what it's doing. How are you finding that your nutritional balancing is going? Do you feel like you're there, getting there, or do you feel like your body is still adjusting?
My body is still adjusting big time. I've lost about 40 pounds. This is the 3rd time this has happened through this journey of managing my intestines. And we are still trying to figure out the right cocktail of medication to nutrition to supplemental forms of nutrition if I need it. But they did tell me that after I finished the last surgery, that it was going to be about a year from then until my body started to regulate again. So we're only about 3 months out, and I'm waiting for that progress to get here because it is very tough to still have minimal energy and have just gone through 6 months of all of this stuff. So it's a challenge.
Well, the reason I specifically, aside from you being just such an inspiration to me personally, and just your journey, I think would resonate with a lot of people.
It's just so great how people, when you do talk about it, can connect. And, cervical cancer has always been a little bit taboo. People believe, even in the medical community, that it is a curable cancer and preventable cancer, and therefore it is taboo. So people don't talk about it, but it's something that we all should. As women, we all are exposed to it.
Correct. Well, one of the reasons I really wanted to have you as my guest also is because how well you and your husband, Matt, have just journeyed this blend of your family. He had 2 children from a previous marriage. You guys have your son together. And just also, you had the added stress of the girls living in a different state. And that came with you balancing transportation and shared responsibility and hospitalizations. And I feel like you guys have just done such a good job of really building this cohesive family. And I feel like there are a
Thank
lot
you.
of other families that are in a similar situation of trying to bring everyone together. And I would love it if you could kind of touch on that for a minute.
Yeah, for sure. Family has been crucial for me through this whole journey. And honestly, my blended family has just been a real gift. The fact that we are blended added a lot of complications. It added a lot of logistical things to manage. My kids lived 14 hours away from me. So when I first got together with Matt, the kids were really little. They were only 3 and 4. So they were with their mom. They needed their mom a lot. As they've gotten older, we've gotten more and more time with them, which has been beautiful. I'm very thankful. We have a very open communication with the girl's mom, and she has always been very supportive during my healthcare journey and has always wanted me to explain things to the kids and have them understand, which I feel is a blessing that I was a child life specialist because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted them to be able to understand. I didn't want to withhold any information from them because I was going to be gone a lot. And then when I'm home, I'm also not as helpful. I'm not as involved because I'm recovering a lot. Quite honestly, the girls have just made this so much better for me. Having the girls here, even before my son was born, they would come visit me in the hospital. I would get to talk to them about what I was going through. When I got my bag, my wound care nurse is a prior child life specialist also. And so she provided all these dolls that had little stomas on them. So we got to do like bag changes and introduce them and have them do medical play. And they really understood it, which made it so that we could talk about my issues with my family at home out in the open. And I didn't have to feel any shame with what I was going through and hide it from my kids. It's the summer when we had our kids and go to the pool. It's something I have to navigate. Everybody in the family was really helpful with getting the girls here during all of my different journeys so that they could be part of it. And I know that that's a unique situation compared to some families, that's not a possibility or just different circumstances. But the girls are very knowledgeable about what's going on with Rachel, and they ask really good questions, and they are now getting more and more comfortable in the healthcare setting. They're not as scared as they used to be because they've seen me come out on the other side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so nice.
We just had my 10-year-old move in with us. She was having some troubles at home and she requested to come and live with us, which felt really nice that she felt comfortable enough to ask. And the other one is still 14 hours away. She's still in upstate Missouri.
So you're still having to do a lot of connectivity. Are there certain things that have worked well for your family in keeping everyone connected?
We FaceTime at least 3 days a week. The girls can talk to each other through their games on their iPads. We try to have them communicate as much as possible. They're 10 and 11 right now. They're kind of at odds, but we certainly try. And then during spring break and things, we have it scheduled so that we're back together as a family. And girl's mom is coming too, where we're getting together over spring break. Our spring break weekends overlap. So all of us will be together in one location so that the girls have time with their mom, they have time with their dad, and time with each other. It's a little bit different. Not everybody wants to get together, but we make it work. It's for those kids.
And I love that you've kept that focus on that. And I think it's probably really helped your son, now that he's getting older, have that close relationship with both of them as well.
For sure. My stepdaughter that moved in with us, she is Nate's favorite person. And so he's super excited. And then when we talk to his sister, he lights up a room with excitement. He views their mom as his aunt. So it's just one big extended family.
I love that y'all made it work so well. Do you
Thank
feel
you.
like there are challenges that were unique to being a blended family with balancing that and medical illness?
Yeah, when I was going through cancer treatment and I was in the hospital for 40 days, part of that time I had my surgery right before Thanksgiving. So I was in the hospital over Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, all of that. And so balancing that time, balancing the distance was really hard. My husband had to go back and forth so that he was able to be with his kids over those high touch times, those high exciting moments. I mean, they were 4 and 5. Those are important times. You want to be with your kids during the holidays. So both of us had to sacrifice some. I had to sacrifice. I was alone in the hospital. He had to sacrifice. He had to miss some holidays with them. But grandparents came in and brought the kids down so that we could be together as a family at times. We had to think out of the box a lot on how to transport the kids, get them to us, how to make sure that they felt like they weren't being left out. That distance component was really tough. And it being COVID times, like that was
Yeah, I
just
was
an
thinking about that
added.
too, for sure.
Yeah.
Did y'all run into any issues with you being in an adult hospital with them allowing for the kids to come in and see you?
Yeah, they allowed Matt to be in the room with me at all times, which was really nice. It was very rare. I just got lucky with the unit that I was on that they allowed him. But the kids, we had to meet the kids outside. So that was tough.
Yeah, so they couldn't come in and see you and stay with you and visit with you. They had
Hmm.
to just have little short visits.
They only came down once during that time because it just made it harder.
It felt probably really sad. You being an OT, you have been very intentional about also helping support their unique developmental needs and having
Hmm.
children of all abilities and different learning styles. I think that you have done a great job of really making sure they're feeling supported.
Both of my kiddos, one of them is on the spectrum. The other one is neurospicy. We just don't really know what she has going on, but they both had some delays growing up. So when they were younger, helping them feel like they understood and felt present with us was really tough. I just really, really encourage parents to reach out to their community. Find some sort of early development center or ask for resources from your hospital when it comes to what they can do for children. If we don't, those kiddos really internalize everything, especially kiddos that are of different cognitive functioning or physical abilities. Like, we want them to feel seen through all of our pieces. Like, the focus was on me so much, and I wanted to make sure that they felt involved. I remember reaching out to you and asking you if you had any resources regarding X, Y, and Z to help them understand. Having a parent going through a medical thing, the kids aren't always thought about in the understanding way. Like, everyone wants to reach out and give gifts and help with meals and those kinds of things, but thinking about their emotional coping skills and just how they're handling things, I think it's important to really focus on that too. And it honestly, for me, it gave me something to stop thinking about myself.
To be able to use some of that to care for someone else, I think really does put us in that space of like, look, I'm still choosing life. I'm still doing the things I love. Yes, I'm not over yet. This is not my finish.
Yes, very much so. I needed anything I could do to focus on somebody else. I'm not one of the people that like the focus on me unless I'm in good health and happy and fun and at a party or something, but not when it has to do with anything that I'm struggling with.
So, with your blended family, has it always been this cohesive just naturally, or are there certain things that you guys did to build that relationship with Matt's ex-wife?
No, it was tough in the beginning. I mean, we got married within 2 years of them getting divorced. So it all happened really quickly. Feelings were still really raw. The kids lived with their mom, and she understandably was very close with them and held them close. So we had to really build trust with her. It was my biggest goal when we got together to repair that relationship with Matt and his kids. And we've really made creating a family with the two of them a focus of our relationship. So we drove up there as often as we possibly could. We tried to show them that even though we were far away, that we will be there at the big times. We will be there over the summer when you have off. We'll be there. You say the word and we're going to jump. And I think that really helped to repair that relationship and build trust. The kids' development and comfort and love for their dad has always been really, really important for me. And I think we've done a good job because we're all very close now. I have a great relationship with her. I think we talk more than she talks to Matt. So that makes me super happy because I need all the information.
And also, your extended families have probably developed a very strong closeness now with the girls because they live away too in a whole different spot.
They do. They do. Yeah, they're DG and Pop Pop. My parents are to those girls. That's all they know. We've been out to my parents' lake house. They've come out here for their birthdays. Like it's their grandparents now. So
Also, another layer that we really didn't even touch on, which I think is also unique, is that you guys are a military family.
mm-hmm.
And that is something that people, I think, listening might think, why can't you just all live in the same place and make it easy on yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's an important thing to touch on, that sometimes you don't have a choice. You have to live where you're stationed. You have to live by your base.
Yeah. And my healthcare journey has actually added some complications to that because as a spouse in the military, they keep you close to where your medical care is. I'm in a special program called an EFMP program that keeps us permanently stationed here because this is where my medical care is. There are only 4 other places in the United States that we are allowed to go right now because my care is so complicated, and none of those places are closer to the girls than right here. So we're a strange military family in that we've been in San Antonio for 5 years and we probably have at least 4 more. Whereas most military families move every 3 to 4 years. And it was our goal to move closer to them. It's always our goal to move closer to the girls. But my medical journey has added an extra layer to that. And now with one of my daughters living with us, there's a chance that they might be coming to us, which is great. It just touches on more of how we've built that relationship with everybody. So it's hard when your hands are tied. We just have to figure it out.
Yeah. Do you have anything specific that you would like to share with anybody who is maybe facing either a similar medical illness or trying to blend their family and balance chronic illness?
I am a very strong advocate for myself and for others. It's kind of my role in life. But one of the things that has been most helpful, and I think I've been able to at least be a shoulder to cry on for some others, is asking your provider if they know of anybody else that is going through something similar. My oncologist knows that they can always give out my number to anybody that has a similar journey or just needs somebody to talk to. Most providers know somebody that is similar to you or your situation. I think I've talked to 3 or 4 different women that have been not necessarily diagnosed with cervical cancer, but diagnosed with some sort of gynecological something and had to navigate that. And having anybody, whether you know them or not, be able to relate to you is really just a blessing. People can't know what you're going through unless you speak up about it. And it's really hard to do that sometimes. But your provider is the one that's here for you, and they know about your care. And most of them care most about your mental status. So if you reach out to them and tell them that you're struggling with something, they probably have some kind of resource or know where to find that resource. So I really encourage people to try to ask those providers, try to ask anybody if there's something that they can relate to, because there's somebody out there that can.
Is there anything that I failed to mention or anything else that you want to share with our listening population?
There's so much to share. Let's see here. As far as like these extended chronic illnesses go when it comes to with my family, I think that I was really nervous about how it was going to play a toll both on my relationship with my husband, on my relationship with my kids, and what it was going to do for them. Changing my bag was something that was a choice. I was living a relatively normal life, and chose to do this surgery. And it's been 6 months of really hard work. And I probably have 6 months more of it. But remembering my why of why I did this so that I can be here for my kids in the best way I know how. And that's all 3 of them. I want to be able to go see my daughter that lives in Missouri. I want to be able to get there easily and show her that despite everything that I'm going through, she has hardships too, and we're going to figure it out together. I just keep your head up, keep trying, remember your why, because there's always a reason to keep going.
Thank you for tuning in to our podcast today. Please subscribe and continue to check back as our content is ever evolving. For questions or specific content-related requests, please send an email to podcast@wondersandworries.org.